Hello, this video covers the lecture part of Lab 9. In Lab 9, we aim to study bipolar junction transistors, or BJTs for short. There are two types of BJTs, the NPN transistor and the BNP transistor. In this lab, we're going to focus on NPN BJTs, and for each transistor, there are different operation regions. We're going to focus today on the active region, the saturation region, and the cutoff region for the NPN transistor. Here we have a circuit that uses an NPN transistor, and we're using it to study the characteristics of BJTs. If we are to plot the collector current, IC, as a function of the input voltage Vn, we're going to end up with a plot that looks like this. We can understand or figure out the different operating regions of this BJT by dividing the plot into three different parts. So when there is no collector current, when the collector current is actually zero, that's how we know that we are in the cutoff region. Now, when the collector current starts to increase as Vn increases, that means we are in the active region. The final region is where the output or the current saturates at a constant value. That's an indication of the saturation region. Here we're going to understand or try to figure out the different operating regions on a plot of V out here as a function of this Vn. If we plot V out as a function of Vn, we're going to end up with a plot that looks like this, assuming VCC is 6 volts, of course. So we can divide the plot into three different parts, so that the first region is actually the cutoff region, and the region in the middle in which we see some changes is the active region, and finally we have the saturation region. Observe that the circuit here looks almost like an inverter, so that when the input is low, the input is almost zero, the output is actually high, and vice versa. When the input is high, the output changes to low. Here we have an example that requires us to find the value of beta with the help of the plot of IC over IB curve as a function of Vn. Notice that beta is actually a constant, and that constant is equal to the current through the collector over the base current in the active region. So there's two important parameters that we need to highlight. First is the collector current over the base current. The second thing is the active region. So we need to be in the active region and then find that constant, which is 100 in this case. So now, according to this plot, the value of beta can be found as 100. So you can say that beta is equal to 100 for this particular plot. Earlier, we've seen a plot of V out as a function of Vn for a specific example of a BJT circuit. Here we've simplified the circuit further, and we can say that this circuit is actually acting as an inverter. In multi-sim live, you could use a voltage probe to measure V out, and you could place a switch as Vn at the base of the BJT, so that when the switch is open, it means the input is 0, and when the switch is close, that means the input is 5 volts, and 5 volts means logical high or logical 1. Looking at the circuit schematic, we can tell that there is 2 paths for us in order to reach the ground from Vout. So either Q1 BJT has to be on or Q2 has to be on. Since I've used the keyword OR, this indicates that this is actually the circuit schematic for an OR gate. Now, understanding this concept, we can tell that if Q1 and Q2 are connected as such, that means in order for Vout to reach the ground, both Q2 and Q1 has to be on. So that means this is the circuit schematic for an AND gate. So far, we've covered how to design the NAND gate, the NOR gate, and the inverter gate using BJTs. So understanding the basic digital logic skills, we can figure out how to design actually a 2-input OR gate with the use of a total of 3 BJTs, so that we can use the NOR gate output and then invert it using a BJT-based inverter, which we've explained how to do in the previous slide. We've now reached the end of Lab 9's lecture. You can start downloading the lab sheet from Moodle and then complete the experiments individually and ask questions if needed. Please share your screen showing the multisim circuit first on Multisim Live, and then display the lab sheet, the complete lab sheet in the Word document if you have it ready. Please have all your work checked before uploading it to Moodle to receive credit for the coursework. Thank you for watching. If you're watching this during a live session, please ask questions in the chat if you have any. Otherwise, you may email me at alatia@auk.edu.kw.